So the ferry itself has been a real love of mine over the years. How that separates us a little bit from the other side. I love the fact that it's mostly people come across who actually live over here.
We were looking for property to buy, and we totally fell in love with this place. It was wild, and we just felt immediately at home, very peaceful. And that's 34 years ago, and we still love it. When we had a fire in 2003, we had a meeting at the Proctor Hall every night to discuss how we are going to get out of here. The danger of the fire brought the community together in a really wonderful way.
There was this hot, dry wind from the west. The fire was just behind this hill right behind us, and the glow was incredible, and there was ash dropping everywhere around us.
At 2 in the morning, we were standing out here thinking, this is it. We said goodbye to the house. We were seeing the flames coming, and we smelled rain, and we just looked at each other. We were holding hands, and we were very emotional. We heard people in the neighborhood screaming of joy, and we didn't leave. We didn't have to leave.
The 2003 wildfire was a turning point for the community forest. It was definitely a wake-up call for the community to see wildfire as a threat that could touch us.
That had a lasting impression. For me, as the general manager of the community forest, feeling so unprepared for an event like that was pretty sobering. As community forest managers, it suddenly became very real to us that we could lose the community forest and that our community could be greatly impacted. After that, forest practices really took a look at how we could mitigate interface fuel.
The next fire that affected us was in 2017. There was a fire burning about 8 kilometers in the mountains to the south of us here. We were on evacuation alert.
Going door to door, making sure that everybody knew and passing out the information really brought some reality to the fact that the fire was close enough to be concerned about.
Big lump in your throat when you see that the community forest runs from Harrop to Proctor, and the fire is in Harrop, and the projection is that it's going to make it all the way over to Proctor. That's pretty scary.
I think it was more the 2017 fire that really made me so much more scared. Knowing that this was going to be more of the norm going forward, that it keeps me awake at night sometimes.
Over here is where the work's happening.
Small projects had been done on land in and around the community forest, but landscape level planning was a discussion, but not really happening. And so again, a wake-up call.
Since the 2017 wildfire, we have had quite strong support for our efforts in trying to build some low fuel areas behind the community and also attempt to thin out the fuels at a landscape level as well.
Our community forest was initially set up to prevent inappropriate logging and to protect our watershed. In recent years, that focus has really shifted to addressing forest fire mitigation.
The community forest is a neighbor of ours, and so we just interact like you would with any neighbor and try to keep good relations and help each other out.
Community forest has so much to show us and to inform people about things to do. Before the awareness of fuel mitigation, we were just naive and just took it for granted. But once you see how much work it is, but how beneficial it is, it's really important to be aware of your surroundings. It made us have a bigger awareness of all around us.
Since the wildfire mitigation work began, that's changed everything. It's the step that the community forest took that gave us the security we now feel. It's not left to chance anymore. It's really reducing the chance that the worst could happen.
At Wildfire Harrop Fire, I am the only staff member. The rest of the members are volunteers, and at any given time they can be out of the area for work or in town. So FireSmart is residents being proactive and prepping their properties. In case of a wildfire does come through, it helps us as there are less chances of fires starting on the structures.
The community, including the community forest, have a big role to play, but it has to be collaborative. The residents have to take some responsibility too. Community can't expect total protection just because there's a community forest behind us.
FireSmart is a program that aims to educate and give direct information to homeowners about how they can evaluate and mitigate risks around their house that might cause the house to ignite during a wildfire event.
As far as wildfire awareness goes, we were completely naive and innocent and knew nothing about it. And it really wasn't until the regional district had a program where they offer to come around and look at rural places and let you know if you had a problem or what you could do to improve things. He came here and walked around with me and just filled my head with ideas of what we should do to be proactive.
After we'd cleared some bush, we went adding some sprinklers would be a good idea.
Basically, that was 5 years ago, and we've each year tried to make another step along the process.
We were a lot more deliberate in removing anything that was combustible close to the house. And of course, we've got our water system set up with hoses ready to go. And we did add the pond since then. So the pond's a serious reservoir of backup water with a pump and a lot of fire hose to go with that.
There's a number of families that get their water from the creek. Wildfire would definitely be a risk if it came through. Then all of a sudden our creek would be exposed if it burnt a lot along the creek. That would be a very risky thing for our water supply too, for sure. We've tried to clean up the underbrush somewhat. That's an ongoing project. But that's just one small measure. It was a lot of work. We really have to put our minds to what can we do to preserve our homes here and preserve our forests as much as we can.
I see the forest so differently now than when we first came here, for sure. If you walk through the forest and you're hearing crunch, 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 that's a telltale sign. You realize the potential for fire, and then you realize that we've got to take care of what we can do to take care of it.
It's part of our life now, and I think it's part of everybody's life, whether they realize it or not.